be my past self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Greetings and felicitations, salutations, as it were, listeners, audience,
Other people, why are you here? Welcome to the Kani Anime Podcast.
Indeed, welcome. My name is Austin. I am the Kani of the half of the group. Kani, in case you weren't aware, means crab in Japanese. I picked that name primarily because I am old and crabby, and it shows in a lot of my opinions and ramblings.
And I am Brayden. I will be your Ebby. I'm the shrimp because, in comparison to Austin here, I am young and naive, sort of. But I'm definitely less critical. And we are specifically going to be critical and not critical about anime.
Yup.
Which we assume is why you're here.
Yep.
That's why we're here.
There'll be other random anime-related things, possibly some Japanese culture stuff. Also, anime-related games. We both play a lot of Fate Go.
We play a lot of games. And Fate Go.
In particular.
Specifically. Looking forward to that Oda. I need my Oda Nobunaga.
Yeah, well, I don't get my update till later, so it's fine. This being the first episode of the podcast, we're just going to do some introductory stuff. We're going to talk about what we're doing, why we're here, what brought us to talk about anime, and kind of give you an insight into our psyches and personalities and preferences when it comes to anime. And then a regular feature that we will include in every episode will be what we're currently watching, and just kind of some tidbits, some like, oh, I saw this episode, or oh, this thing has caught my eye, or whatever. So until we get to that point, for me personally, just to give you some background, growing up when I was a kid, I didn't have a whole lot of access to TV shows just in general. I missed out on a lot. But every now and again, I did have access to watch some old school Toonami. So I did watch some random episodes of original season 1 level of like Dragon Ball Z, some old Cowboy Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho.
The good classics.
Old good classics. the good stuff. I didn't really start to get into anime until I had access to it later. Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was in the tail end of my elementary school career, when it first started airing in the U.S. Bleach, when I was in middle school and high school. I watched a lot of that. Those were kind of my formative years as far as anime is concerned.
I, being much younger, and also I guess just not watching as late as, like, I know a lot of other people my age still watch Toonami and stuff like that, but my experience was Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the first stuff really young, but that didn't quite really get me into anime. I didn't really even think of it as anime. It was just Saturday morning cartoons. And then as time went on, I kind of learned what it was, and I watched here and there some random stuff that I came across, but I never really started watching it a whole lot until 4 or 5 years ago in high school, when I actually saw a GIF of just like a supercut of all the really awful things that happened in Madoka. Sorry if you haven't seen that yet. It's been out a while. You should watch it. Anyway, specifically, I saw that terrible stuff going on, and I was like, I am intrigued. So I found some really, really backwards, like, hidden garbage side of the internet site where I watched the series in like 5-minute intervals. Each own video for every episode was kind of like five videos that I had to watch, but I really enjoyed that. Then I found out it was on Netflix, watched the movie on Netflix, which led to me watching a whole bunch of garbage anime on Netflix, like what is it, like Heaven's Lost Property. That was one of them. It's fun. It's it is garbage.
Yeah, it doesn't even ring a bell.
It's like a angel robot comes down from the sky, and some pervert dude becomes her master.
Oh,
gets her to do like some, like, she has like reality bending technology shit.
Yeah. No, I actually remember talking about this with someone before, and yeah, it does sound awful.
It's garbage. Anyway, so I watched a bunch of kind of shitty
Okay.
things on Netflix. Eventually watched Full Metal Alchemist, which was great. But what
Nice.
actually got me more into the anime community and seasonal stuff was around first year of college, when the main thing I remember watching that season was when Gate and thus the Japanese Self-Defense Force fought there.
Commonly known as Gate.
Yeah, just Gate. I really enjoyed that though, and that's what really got me into seasonal anime, as it were.
And that's fair. And I honestly didn't pick up seasonal stuff until fairly recently because I just played catch up on things.
Yeah.
It's just I hate watching episodes weekly because between them I'm just bored. I want to see what's next and all the rest of it. And it's the traditional things that everyone has to go through, but I just hate experiencing it. So I
Yeah.
usually wait until a season is done and then I'll just binge the whole season, which is why I definitely have been liking the Netflix approach to stuff. However, that being said, I've been catching up on seasons and being up to date on things.
I understand that, and I do that too. I split shows. Depending on if it's currently, a lot of the times if it's currently airing and it's something that's really good narrative wise, I'll start watching it every episode just because I really want to watch it whenever it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, however, I'll have the self control to decide this one's really good on a weekly thing, like Flying Witch, like maybe a year ago, a couple seasons ago, was a good weekly thing because like it was a thing to sit down.
It's a palate cleanser. It's just I feel good. I can kind of turn my brain off.
Kobayashi Dragon Maid was also a lot like that, less for the palate cleanser, but more of just like made you feel good throughout the week. That was a feel good anime.
Yeah, for sure.
But then there's some other stuff that are more story based that I'd be, if I had the self control to, I would not watch and then wait till it's all done so I can just watch it all together.
Yeah, that was oh shit, no, I can't remember the name. Kobayashi season winter this year. It was Yoko Senji.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I really like this.
That's right.
For episodes, because by the time I started bothering to watch it, there was already like 6 or 7 episodes.
I introduced you to that one, didn't I?
You did.
That was a good
Tanya the Evil, whatever you want to call it. I really like it a lot. Even though it doesn't match my aesthetics very much at all. I actually really enjoyed that one. So that was one where I watched like 2 episodes. I was like, okay, I'm going to want to watch the whole thing, and I know I'm going to, so I'm just going to wait until it's done. And that's what I did. I just waited until it was done.
Spoilers, he liked it because the main character's an evil asshole.
Kind of.
He enjoyed that.
Yeah, I do enjoy that. So speaking of things that I enjoy, my favorite shows, just to kind of get a taste for my aesthetic for anime, are, some kind of a weird mix. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I was introduced to the manga a while back, and this was while I think the first or second arc was airing as an anime. And I have since read almost all of the manga up to current seasons of stuff.
He just reads a lot of manga.
I do. I tend to actually be more of a manga person than an anime person because mangas tend to be so much further ahead, and I just enjoy it. So I don't know. I like reading, I guess. Whatever. But then started watching the shows as they came out, and particularly the most recent arc of JoJo's, the Diamond is Unbreakable.
I was gonna ask if that's the most recent one.
Yes, that is the most recent as far as the anime is concerned, but that's only arc 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure technically, of like 9 arcs or something like that. There's a lot. There's a lot of JoJo's. But I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm also a huge fan of the Monogatari series. I like a lot of things that Nisio Isin has written, and I've read a lot of his stuff. I actually own some of the Monogatari novels. And then I'm also a huge fan of Steins Gate. Again, was introduced via the visual novel. Ended up watching the anime later, but really liked it. And then Psycho Pass and Fate Zero, both done by Gen Urobuchi, the guy behind Madoka. Which
brings us to my favorite series. I mentioned one of the ones that really got me into it was Madoka Magica, and to this day remains my favorite. When are they going to announce what that new project is and show us it's going to happen?
Happening.
Please.
Not happening.
Please. It's all I ever
It's a
wanted.
rumor.
He mentioned Monogatari. He actually got me into Monogatari. I've since watched the entire series. I haven't read any of it. Probably missing out. But very good. Amazing. Great show. I also really enjoy, as far as slightly lesser known. It's not like never heard of before, but it's called Sora no Wato. I think it means like sound of the sky. Very interesting. I really loved it. It's like Japanese girls are soldiers in a not Eastern European, but a European village that celebrates traditions that are traditionally, I believe, from India or like are Hinduist. So it's like these weird joinings of culture, and that's actually a really big theme throughout it. It's like, but as far as like aesthetics go, it's kind of like if Kaon were in the military,
Nice.
and instead of guitars, it was bugling because she's the bugler.
Nice.
Also, a big fan of the Fate series, brought into it by Fate Zero, which is amazing.
Fate Zero is the best part of Fate. Fate Stay Night, the Ufotable, or however you say their name, was also very good. The original version of Fate Stay Night is, it's bad.
They haven't done Fate Stay. They did Unlimited Blade Works.
Well, I mean, they
did Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Ufotable did Fate Stay Night _ Unlimited Blade Works, but anyway, Fate. It's one of those series where if you get into it, if it's one of those things you've been seeing a lot recently, what with the mobile game Fate Grand Order, Fate Go, it's a weird series to get into. I think it's worth getting into.
Oh yeah.
It definitely has some cringy things. Just forewarning.
Just for your let's King Arthur, big thing. It's girl actually. Nero
Spoiler.
Claudius, girl.
But is a girl actually?
Francis Drake.
Also a girl.
Girl. Did you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Did you know?
Secrets of history.
Yeah. Did you
Learned
know
it here first.
that Oda Nobunaga is actually a child? Girl.
Also a girl. Also the demon of the seventh heaven.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
She's my favorite. She needs to be in the game already.
There's weird stuff.
Anyway, a couple other favorites. Konosuba, hilarious.
I like that one.
Making fun of isekai genre. For those of you who don't know, isekai, Otherworld, been very popular. Think SAO.
Oh yeah.
It's been a very popular genre.
SAO, freaking what was it? Log Horizon, freaking Dot Hack back in the day. It's been kind of popular with the fantasy genre recently.
Basically, generic nerd man goes to fantasy world, becomes hero. Konosuba's like that. We might get a bit into it later, but it's like that. But then they're like, isekai's dumb. Look at how funny it is, because we're gonna show you a lot of reasons why it's dumb, and it's really good.
Right.
And also another kind of weirder one is Girls in Panzer, because
that one's been gaining in popularity recently. I've noticed.
It got me to play World of Tanks, which
I'm sorry.
was a mistake.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But tanks are cool. World War II tanks are cool. You know, it'd be cooler if they were filled with little girls shooting each other. That would be fun. And it was. It's also partially historically accurate to the tanks, and then also partially inane bullshit. And it's the most fun thing.
It's slice of life, you know. You and your best friend are trying to have a picnic in your tank, and
just trying
and
to have
then
a good
things
time.
get all messy and stuff, and because it's a tank,
You gotta. It's important. Like, there's a lot of shows. Love Live is one about saving your school, right? You got to band together and do something to save your school. Yeah. And so that's to be in the very girly, weird to think of boys doing girly sport of Senshido is what they call it, which is like tank karate, sort of. Yeah, tanking, very girly.
Oh yeah, and then and sometimes you can like flip tanks, and it's a very realistic show. It's just, all things considered.
Oof.
The tank races. And,
I have to. There's a video. It's called "So This Is Basically Girls in Panzer,"
and it's
watch it. Most of it's actually just from the movie because the movie's ridiculous. But ooh, it is fine.
Nice. So speaking of Girls in Panzer getting popular recently, recent shows that I have watched from this most recent season that we just got done with summer anime a couple weeks ago. I watched from the summer season of things. I watched Aho Girl. Insanely stupid. Like, I can't recommend it, but it was a decent 10-minute short form. Over the top.
Is it a short form?
Yeah, it's a short form.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like, they're just like little anecdotal like parts. Like there's like 4 or 5 parts to a 10-minute episode.
Oh, that's interesting.
And sometimes they tell an overarching story. Other times it's just like random stupid bullshit. But ultimately, the entire show can be summed up as random stupid bullshit. So Aho Girl, which I do like the opening theme quite a bit. I played the whole thing for you. It's it's catchy. I like it. And a good opening theme is always a good way to get me interested in a otherwise uninteresting anime.
Yeah.
Classroom of the Elite, I really liked it a lot. I mean, I know it wasn't a big hit for a lot of people, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I tend to like, again, that one kind of scratched the Monogatari itch for me.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of talking, a lot of narrative, a lot of like intrigue, and like, oh, this character's actually a piece of shit, and here's how and why, and like all this good stuff. So I really enjoyed Classroom of the Elite. That was a fun one. Gamers, which was a kind of a fun slice of life rom-com. That one got really popular. I didn't think that one would be one that I stuck with, but I actually ended up sticking with that one pretty well. And I really liked it a lot because it's one of those things where you can definitely relate, where a lot of issues and drama are caused by the dumbest of misunderstandings and just these poor misconceptions and mixed signals and all the rest of it, which can cause way more issues than the misunderstandings are worth in and of themselves.
Yeah.
So I really like that one. It was, and because it was also very gag heavy, and I enjoyed it a lot. The main character was actually my least favorite part of it, but that was still like kind of part of the attraction. Is that God, this main character is just such a loser, and I hate him. But it's okay because everyone else is funny. So I really liked Gamers.
One thing I know about that is there's a girl in there, maybe the main girl. She's blue hair. And starting out, she's a great hairstyle, and she cuts it, and I'm sad about it. I think it probably marks major character growth that she cuts her hair because it's long,
I wouldn't
hides her face.
I wouldn't call it major. It's in the episode that she's actually introduced in.
Oh, dang it!
Yeah,
I like the long hair. Okay.
I tend to like long hair too, and actually, again, tying that in, one of my favorites this summer season was A Centaur's Life. Or I think the manga was like The Worries of a Centaur Girl or whatever. I can't remember. Yeah. But that one was really fun. And I really liked Hime. She was my favorite because she had the long bushy hair. And I really liked that anime style haircut on some of the girls. But I really liked that one because it was very slice of lifey and just kind of interesting. Like, what if in a world where everyone was like human monster hybrid things?
It almost felt like, this is one of the only ones on his list I actually also watched, also loved it, was... it's like they're like, hey, we need to do one of those cute monster girl shows. And so then they gave it to like the team to make, and they're like, okay. So they sat down and tried to come up with the first episode, and the first half of the first episode does play a lot like a regular high school thing, but then they were kind of like, but how would that work? And then they do the thing I would do where it's like, but what about this? Like, how does that change how things work? And then they just made that accidentally kind of... It's like, we were gonna make a cute thing about girls, and then they still kind of do, but then they're also like, but how do they put on pants?
Yeah.
And then they don't, and then they manage to do it without it being like, wow, they're purposely trying to show us how to put on pants. They're like, this is this is the story going, this stuff is happening, and in it we also have enough of a section to show you how to Centaur puts on pants, and it seems natural, and now I know how Centaurs put on pants, and that's important.
Yep. There's a lot of like leg maneuvering and reaching and
difficult.
Stuff.
They have a hard time.
Yeah.
You need.
That's a large lower
I don't
half.
think there's enough appreciation for the difficulties centaurs go through in everyday life. I feel like it should be recognized more. Yeah.
No. And I'm glad that they didn't bother with certain other things, because like if you want to sit down and be like, I wonder how like the differences of like, oh, like you have like the angel folk, they just have wings and whatever. It's like, okay, well, they have to like prune their wings and whatever, and kind of keep them clean and dry. But they didn't have to go, and they didn't. I'm glad that they didn't go the route of being like, oh, this is how a centaur goes to the bathroom because they're a half horse. So you gotta imagine that's messy.
Because that's not how we would always like. That's something you can come up with on your own.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. You don't need to worry about it. Don't worry about it. like because they do show some interesting aspects of society where like you can't discriminate. Like you got to be able to have everything's got to be accessible to everyone.
That's what makes it the most interesting, really, is because it's not just
it's not just you can't discriminate.
They came up to they're like, how do we make it? How would a government exist with this amount of differences between the individuals, where it's not just like race, which clearly just race, which isn't an actual difference in species because enough an issue now. But if they're actually different species, how would a government that's united deal with that? And the answer is
it's quite complex.
Equality is worth more than your rights, and they tell you that in high school.
Yep, and not only is it worth more than your rights, it could be worth more than your life. Word of advice: you ever go visit the mermaid school?
That is one of my favorite scenes because of the way that it's done. They set up a scene I'm sure you guys have all seen in not just anime but other things, and it's one that you always kind of wonder about because like it shows the main characters, they're walking kind of towards the camera, maybe over a hill or just kind of walking towards it, and then they stop and go, wow, there's a thing, and then the next shot will show you the thing, and you kind of wonder, wouldn't they've already been able to see the thing? Why are they reacting to it now? However, in that shot, so it already has a designated purpose to do that. In the background, they include armed guards wearing military uniforms and a sign. It was in Japanese, so I couldn't read it. Later, I found out in the discussion, that sign says, do not litter. Violators will be shot on sight.
Now, it could be like rubber bullet sort of thing. It's hard to say.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, a rubber bullet coming from an M14 would probably stop you in your tracks pretty good.
Yeah, that was still like it wasn't.
It was serious. It was not. It
wasn't a pistol. That was an assault rifle, man.
Yeah, they weren't messing around. So and it was cool, and I really enjoyed the frog people.
That guy was interesting.
The underdeveloped races, quote unquote, and their interactions with the quote unquote more developed races, and just it kind of gives you that whole sense of like indigenous peoples. Versus, again, like the more advanced societies. And when you introduce things like guns to them, where it's like, hey, you're this like small tribe of people who have never really interacted with the world at large. Here are lethal weapons. Have fun. It's just like, what? Excuse me? And they don't really touch much on that. Again, it's just kind of a one-off. But I like that they show that this is complicated. There isn't an answer. Because we don't have one. We're not going to try to be like, oh, well, this is the way you should do this.
Right.
They're just like,
it just kind of
this
shows
shit's
it.
kind of
like,
messy.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And then also that episode, I
Mm-hmm.
watched that episode up at college in there's a booths in our library, and I sat there with my friends, and it was me and one of
friends.
I know, right? And this one girl that's in that friend group, and she's doing work, and I'm watching this, and what we haven't mentioned is the other half of that episode deals with the Holocaust.
Yeah,
it's the Centaur version of the Holocaust.
Yeah,
so I watched that and I'm like, and she kind of like looks over and is like on my screen. She's like, "What are you watching?" And I pause and I'm like, "The Holocaust, but with mythological creatures." She's like, "What?" And I like and I have to like sit there and talk to her, and I'm like, I'm actually very surprised.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is being really well done, and they're doing it, and it's not like, whoa, Nazis. It's like the interracial issues within the present camps and stuff like that. It was interesting.
Yeah. Of this last season, like I really like certain things because again they match my aesthetic and all the rest of it. But I would say that Centaur's life is an actually very just every aspect of it. It's got charming opening closing themes. It's got fun characters. It's got really good animation quality.
And to fit in with the isekai trend, there's one episode that kind of has that randomly.
Sort of. The last episode was good.
Randomly, yeah.
It was good. I won't spoil that one. I'll let you figure that one out
good.
For yourself. And then last but not least, wasn't really part of the season. I have no idea actually when it actually originally aired. But I watched. Yeah, I was gonna say it was a while ago. But I recently decided that I was gonna watch Death Parade because my buddy was telling me about the origin for that little one shot that was like Death Billiards or something along those lines, but just the games for people's souls where you gamble on, whether you're going to have reincarnation or your soul's going to be destroyed and sent to the void. And that one was just really interesting. It's a little bit darker of a drama with some good light moments and humor in it too. But it was just interesting because it's like seeing the worst in sometimes, very rarely, the best in people, and just various aspects of life and reason and motivations behind, difficult or sometimes, frankly, very bad decisions. But it was really fun, and it also led me to the discovery of one of the best music videos, like official music videos for an opening theme.
We've mentioned about opening themes.
Oh my god!
This one, you're gonna look up the opening theme and be like, wow, they dance, and it's really cool because they dance.
Oh yeah, no, it's a
good
then opening theme. But
you're gonna look up the name of the music, and you're gonna type that in. You're gonna watch the original music video, cause, ooh.
I'll go ahead and give it to you. It is called Flyers by the band Braydo. Braydo, one word, so Braydo if you want to call it that. But Flyers, it's amazing.
One request while you watch it, and you have your own opinions for him. We can't tell you what to feel. One thing you need to think about. Mm-hmm. You might not notice it. Maybe you will. Maybe you'll feel it. Mm-hmm. How happy the band members were at this music video. Like, you can tell they loved it.
They loved filming it. They loved editing it. They were very pleased with the end result of that. And honestly, I sincerely hope that whoever their editor for that music video was got a raise or a bonus or something, because it is amazing. And I'm not saying this in a facetious manner. It is straight up legitimately one of the best things I have seen in a long time.
Ugh.
So that is my recent watch list. Those are the things that I've been watching recently.
So last things I have watched. Mentioned Centaur's Life, obviously. Last season, there's Fate Apocrypha's going on. Another one of the Fate ones. Not as good as Fate Zero.
Yeah, it's considered a spin-off. It's not technically part of the official Fate timeline.
It's one of the many different timelines of Fate.
Yep.
It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I've learned recently that a lot of people don't see it as good as other ones, and I do see why.
Well, I mean, I will say, like, the story itself is fine. I don't really have a problem with Apocrypha's story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a few, bits that I like better than others, but that's any show. But from like even that one episode you showed me, there are bizarre animation quality dips where, I mean, I assume it'll be fixed for the Blu-ray. I mean, because that's the thing. As I've looked into manga and anime culture in Japan, you learn that a lot of, especially anime and manga, but anime in particular, because it's scheduled out. You can't just delay an episode of the anime because one of your animators is sick or something like that. Like you can do with manga. You just have to get it out. And so, like, these aren't, like, pre-prepared where it's like, oh, the entire season is done or whatever. Like, we're going to, like, edit it for, like, a year and then we'll put it out. No, they do these episodes pretty close to when they air. Sometimes, like, apparently, like, only hours before they air are they finished.
Wow.
For some of the stuff, which is just bizarre to me. But one recently, just kind of as a weird side note, is Sailor Moon Crystal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Season 1 in particular had just these really weird animation quality drops that were fixed in the Blu-ray. And apparently that's actually pretty common thing where it's like, yeah, a few of these like action scenes or whatever, we got really simplistic and we downgraded a lot of things. And we fixed it after the fact. And sometimes it's for the better and other times it's for the worse. Like apparently certain animes like Attack on Titan's Blu-ray, like the Blu-ray actually looked worse than the show did. Really? But that's the only one that's the only way you can own it, is that the Blu-ray is like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. And again, and this is mostly off of hearsay because these are shows that I'm not particularly interested in.
There's actually one show that I started watching, I can't remember the name of, but it's rated very high on my end. It's like 8.88 or something.
Jesus, that's
and
high.
It's about, I'm only a couple episodes, I'm like 6 episodes in. I'm not super into it. Apparently gets really good after episode 10, and then it's a 24 episode anime.
Yeah.
So
that's quite the investment, though.
Yeah, I'm like 6 episodes in at this point, so I should probably just hurry up and get to it. But it's something about like these youth that have like telekinesis or something, and there's maybe something about apocalypticness. But episode 4 and 10 are apparently done by a completely different animation studio, and they're atrocious.
Really?
Like I had to look it up because I started watching episode 4, and I'm like, whoa,
what happened?
and like you look it up and you'll come up with like a whole bunch of different forum posts because everyone that watches is like, well, what happened? Why is episode 4? Apparently they had a different animation studio do 2 random episodes, and they're god awful.
That's unfortunate. But yeah,
Anyway.
long story short, back to Fate Apocrypha.
So Fate Apocrypha, still good watch, fun watch. If you like Fate, obviously, if you're gonna start with Fate,
I wouldn't say it's a one to start with.
don't start with that one. Start with Fate Zero. It's literally a prequel, so it's a good place to start. Anyway, other things watching past couple seasons. Actually, this one's been a while. That you've probably heard of is My Hero Academia. Been very popular.
Well, but they just finished up like 2 weeks
Season
ago
2,
with
yeah.
season 2, because season 2 ended up going like spring and summer. It was a dual season. Like
both
36
seasons
episode or something.
that
like
one was longer, but
Yeah.
both are 24, 26, 27 episodes.
Yeah, it is weird.
They're both long
I
seasons.
really like it though.
They're very good. Great shonen anime.
Okay.
I'm very impressed with it.
Well, and I'm gonna interject here real fast, just because I'm gonna correct our listeners just as I corrected you.
Oh yes.
So My Hero Academia, super popular. Everyone loves it. It's really awesome. All Might,
I know where
Plus
this is
Ultra,
going.
all that good stuff. Yeah. Bakugo, he's a prick, but we love him, I guess. Question mark. But here's the thing, listeners, and I gotta stress this hard. It's called My Hero Academia. Now, they don't have a word for "my" in Japanese, so the Japanese fan base calls it Boku no Hero Academia, and it is written in the kanji underneath, or katakana or hiragana or whatever.
And Boku,
In Boku,
quick
Boku-
academic lesson. Boku means I, but
It's
a
masculine.
Masculine I, so it's from
Yes.
the main characters.
and Boku specifically is young masculine. It is as a child or very young man would refer to himself in sense of saying, "Oh, this is me," or "my."
No makes it possessive, so it's
My Hero
Academia. Yes.
And the thing is that in the English splash for it, in the Japanese airings, it
Has the English
says
splash.
My Hero Academia. It is called, the creator, I believe, if I remember correctly, has actually gone on record saying, yeah, no, it's My Hero Academia. And I know a lot of you out there just love calling things by their Japanese name, and you don't call it Attack on Titan, you call it whatever the fuck it is in Japanese.
Shinji
Don't.
no
Don't.
Kyojin?
Fuck you. Fuck you. You are contributing, probably unknowingly,
I
but
don't
you're
think he means
contributing
about the Attack
to
on
the
Titan thing.
toxicity of the fan base in people who are interested. Because My Hero Academia is something that anyone could watch. I would recommend anyone to watch
I
My
started
Hero
watching
Academia.
it with my little sister, actually.
Yeah, because it's just a fun superhero show. It's a great little shonen. It avoids a lot of the shonen holes while still allowing for the tropes to exist, but it doesn't fall into the pits of them, which is great. It's
That
very
is what I was
approachable. It's
most
got
impressed
clean
with.
animation. It's fun. It's upbeat, but without being too over the top. It has some dark and grim moments with, again, not going too dark or grim. It allows for the characters to have a natural progression. It's a phenomenal show. Please, love of God, watch My Hero Academia. But do not be that snobby person. And if you want to refer to it as Boku no Hero Academia to yourself, if you think every time you say the words My Hero
To
Academia,
be fair,
Boku no Hero Academia,
the place where
God
I
bless.
see it, it's listed as Boku no Hero. That's
well,
the way I
that's
see it when I'm
because
searching
you
for it.
watch things on sites that do not support the creators, and that's another thing I'll yell about in a different episode. I'm not going to go that far.
I
but
am not happy that I do this, to be fair. This is something that
I have-
hopefully by next episode I will have corrected.
Here's hoping.
Anyway, we've had some opinions. This is what the show is.
Yes.
It'll be mostly that other stuff with also
And again,
this stuff.
I am the Kani. I am the crab because I am old. I'm not that old. I'm 26 for the record. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been talking and doing reviews and forming critical opinions and writing up statements on a lot of different things, a lot of different products, books, movies, TV shows, music, anime, games, you name it. I've been doing a lot of that stuff for a long time.
He's not just critical.
Yeah,
He's a critic.
exactly. Exactly. Just unfortunately, I've never really been paid
Oops.
too much for it. Anyway, point being though, don't be like you're not a fan. It's Boku no Hero Academia. That's what I'm getting at. Don't be that guy. If you're not going to refer to it as My Hero Academia, and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that, fine. But love of God, don't you ever correct someone who says My Hero Academia or Attack on Titan or any other things where it's like, oh well, technically, actually, it's not Sailor Moon. It's My Pretty Cure. Fuck you. It's like Madoka. Madoka's full name is something like
Puella Magi Madoka Magica.
Yeah, no one refers to it that way. No one.
Sometimes, very rarely.
No one refers to it that way. Unless they're bringing up the spin-off series.
Well, yeah, because that does help designate other series.
So, from that perspective, okay. But again, no one's going to be like, oh yeah, I watched Madoka. Oh, you mean Puella Magi, Magica?
No.
Don't you
I don't think anyone does that.
Yeah, I know. No one really does that. That one has been like, the point has been conceded. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Is that if you can do it with one, you can do it with all of them. Fuck you. Don't be a piece of shit. Anyway. So
for those that may have forgotten, I was in the middle of talking about the last thing I watched.
My Hero
It's
Academia.
okay. There's only one more. Maybe we'll keep on track. We won't.
Okay, no,
Spoiler,
probably not.
We won't ever keep on track. If
I'm
there's
good at
ever a
derailing
title for an episode and it tells you this is what we talked about, it's or talking about, it's not a prediction. It's because we went through and we're like, oh, that's what we talked about, so we titled it that.
Yeah,
nothing on here is planned, and if it is, it's the plans are gone.
Yeah, I'm very good at derailing things.
Well, I do it as well. I always am friends with people that do. So it's awful, but great. So the most recent thing I've watched is Made in Abyss. Very good. I binged the whole thing in one night. Went to bed around 4 a.m. It was amazing. Great story. That it's a good intersection of youth and like the adventures of youth kind of thing, and like you go off on this grand adventure, but then it's kind of like, also, what if you couldn't come back?
And like everything is horrible.
And then and it's this really really grim reminder of reality. Yeah. Specifically, I go into brief specifics here. Basically, so imagine a D&D setting, right? Yep. Adventurers go into the dungeon, they find treasures, they come out, they become rich. The danger is going into the dungeon, things live in it. What if you then added a danger in coming back?
Yep.
And so basically it's this giant pit in the ground that has something called the Curse of the Abyss, and no matter, depending on how deep you go in, the more and the varied and worse these exponentially, actually it does have a very exponential gradient, the effects of coming up from the abyss are. Yep. And they're pretty awful. So we have this young girl, and one of the greatest heroes of the abyss is her mom, who went missing 10 years ago. Yep. It was kind of assumed dead, but then at the end, towards the beginning, they find her whistle, which is the designation of her rank. She's a white whistle, the kind of the heroes. And so it's with the recovery of her whistle, she is declared dead, basically. But she actually, with the whistle, actually comes up this packet that has a whole bunch of like life forms and knowledge about this deep part of the abyss that no one's ever been in before, heard of before, and this one note that just says, basically, I'm waiting for you at the bottom. And so this 8-year-old girl and this robot that she found the other day decide to go down and find her mom, knowing they'll never ever be able to come back.
Yep.
And it is good.
It gets
3 episodes in, you get a chance at crying because of pure emotional. And then another time 5 episodes, and then towards 10, 11, 12, 13, it's less crying, it's more mouth agape. Oh God, what have you done?
Yep.
But it's amazing.
I mean, we talked about it off mic, I guess, whatever, pretty extensively. And I've been talking to some other friends about it too, who've been watching it recently, and it sounds very good, and I will definitely give this. It's one where, I mean, this isn't like a one where, what's a good example? 91 Days was a drama that I watched a couple seasons ago that I liked. That was definitely pretty grim and had a lot of very serious things happening, and it's based off of apparently a true story. But it like mafia, and like there's murder and rape, like there's like some serious, very heavy stuff in it, and I would definitely say it's not like that in the sense where it's like, this is like, oh, like this is harsh, like, ooh, the feels, in the sense like, oh, this is reality, because it's very fantastical, but
but the emotions feel
the
real.
and the density
this
of the
stuff.
darkness that it deals with is borderline fucked up territory. Like it shows you some things, and it alludes to some other things that are like, no, even in a fantasy setting, this is fucked. Like, again, this can't happen in any like
Yet-
you can't put it in a real context, because these are fantastical horrors that some of these things that some of these characters experience, and some of the events that unfold. But holy fuck! And
But
not
the thing that makes it amazing is they managed to perfectly connect that with that spirit of adventure.
Yeah.
And like enjoyment, and them having like these like still childhood glee to some extent, not really, but this adventure, and we're gonna go do it, and da da da, and this optimism.
I would call it naivety, but you know,
Yeah,
you've watched it.
naive optimism, but also a general. There is naive optimism, but there's also clearly a aesthetic of optimism that yes, all these things are terrible, things are happening.
Yeah.
But they're not giving up, and they're gonna do it, and they're gonna go down there, and they're gonna find her mom for surezies.
And I mean, again, not because again, I have not watched it yet. I plan on watching it. It definitely seems up my alley. But as coming from someone who hasn't watched it, also just be aware that this one also has some rather gratuitous stuff in it as well. Apparently, it was based off of a webcomic.
Web manga, like it's still
web
came out
manga
in
or something.
volumes,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Huh, interesting. But yeah, it's
They do what they like because they're online.
they do things that they just get away with because they get away with it. And it's just it's hard to put in a way that makes sense, but it's something that is definitely bizarre, and is not something that I would recommend to younger viewers.
Yeah, no,
or people who
viewers.
are a little bit more sensitive emotionally and stuff like that, because again, it's one that, you know, I'm trying to even just think back on what we've talked about. Even Fate is like one of those ones that Fate Zero in particular that is fairly dark, and again alludes to certain stuff, and the Fate universe in general
that actually
does
happens in it.
It is not too bad. It's definitely tolerable. Like even like some of the darkest things are like, you know, whatever. I can distance it because of fantasy. And same thing with Madoka to a degree. Madoka also deals. Gen Urobuchi has a thing for fucked up stuff.
Yeah, he does like it.
He does.
That's
a
why I
lot.
like
And
him.
if you ever look into some of the other stuff that he's done some really weird shit. I don't like all of it, but I do tend to like a lot of it.
But I want to interpose this with, I don't want to scare you off. It's good.
Yes.
It's also not pure horror.
Yeah,
There's
no,
a lot
not.
of stuff in
It's
it
not.
that's horrible, but it's worth the watch.
Yeah.
Speaking of worth the watch, we will now, segues are amazing.
Yep.
Current watches.
Mm-hmm.
What are we watching right now? What are you watching, Austin?
So currently on so for current season stuff, I guess best way to look at it is to look at my actual fucking queue.
No.
I have my queue right here. How
look
lucky.
at this handy dandy visual you can't see.
Yep, right.
But we
It's
can.
the best. So I'm rewatching some stuff, but new things I'm watching that are airing this season. Juni Tyson, The Zodiac War. That's another one that was written by Nisio Isin, and I'm a huge fan of him. Chinese Zodiac characters, but instead they all have to kill each other. Looks interesting. Animation style definitely is a little worrying, because I'll be honest, I'm someone who I care about the animation a lot in things. I can forgive certain things, and I can appreciate stylizing and all the rest of it, but there's a few uses of CGI and like weird like character differences and stuff like that I'm like, was this all designed by different people? Like, what's going on here? But I'm willing to swallow that pill, and I'm gonna give it a try. We'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna try out Juni Tyson, The Zodiac War. Also, not technically new to the season per se. It's starting with the 3rd episode, but The Ancient Magus Bride.
They had a 3-episode prologue, kind of thing. So technically, the season started last week.
Yeah.
However,
it's all prologue stuff.
Like 6 months ago, they had an episode,
and then like
2 months after that, they did
no. They had something last year.
Oh, was that when that first episode
came
out?
Yeah, first episode came out last year. They've been building up to it, but it looks beautiful. I've read the manga.
It's really good.
It's really good, and again, deals with some messed up stuff, but in a really fun way, and it allows itself some humor and kind of gets away with some gag and hyper deform
unlike
things.
Made in Abyss, not graphic.
No.
At least not that I've seen.
No, it's
But
more
it's
psychological.
Dealing with, it's psychological.
It's dealing with psychological stuff that I wouldn't put like a warning on it, but definitely has some heavier emotional stuff. But again, to a degree where this is definitely tolerable. It's a very peaceful anime. I'm really enjoying it so far.
And one of the surprises he briefly mentioned that was a big surprise for me watching it, but also makes me... I already really liked it, but at the same time, it wasn't maybe going to be one of my favorites, but I really liked it. But then I actually saw randomly seeing the deformed versions of the characters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they're going to have little interspersed, really adorable... not just like adorable, like, oh, love and da-da-da, but like,
just
look,
fun little gags.
He's a silly skull man. He is a silly skull man.
He's a silly giant skull man.
And they are good. It made me very happy.
So Ancient Magus Bride, that's definitely one that I've been excited for a long time, and I'm glad it's finally happening. So that one, Blend S, looks good. Blend for coffee, S for sadist. First time super sadist.
I can explain this one.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you here.
Yeah.
So, take your average cute girls doing cute things anime. Maybe not all viewers, but I'm pretty sure you've all seen one. Put it in a maid cafe. Wow, what revolutionary territory. She wants to make money so she can go traveling around the world. Now, here's where it gets fun. The maid cafe that she works in typecasts, sort of. Basically, each of the maids is their own type. Tsundere, you've probably heard of. One's Imoto, little sister. One is an idol. There's a fourth one that's not coming to memory. And the main character, she has an issue. She can't get a job because she is what we'd call in America resting bitch face.
Yep.
She looks like she hates you all the time, even when she doesn't mean to. She's very cute, innocent girl, but she looks like she hates you. So she gets to be the S, the sadist.
Yep.
Basically, she gets... and it's very fun to watch. You juxtapose her very cute personality with pretending to hate the customers in there. The customers obviously like it. They requested the sadist. Obviously, that's what they're into.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
It seems fun, and it seems cute, and I like it because the anime has so far, in all the screenshots that I've seen, again, I haven't actually had a chance to really watch any of the new episodes so far yet, but from all the screenshots...
I think it's just the first.
I can't. I think the second episode's coming like tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
From when I'm recording this anyway. But from every screenshot that I've seen, her eyes themselves, her eyes in and of themselves, do not have like a mean or menacing or terrible look at all.
No, it's not. That was one thing I expected when they talked about it.
You figured that she's gonna have the senpuku eyes.
Yeah, I was gonna say the fish eye is what they usually translate it to,
or like just like the really sharp eyes that you've seen in a bunch of stuff on men and women. But it doesn't. She has kind of she got cute big purple eyes. But she always has this kind of like down, like depressed kind of gloom look to it, and I could definitely see that being portrayed as or people receiving it rather as she's not happy with her surroundings and it's your fault, when most likely and what is the case, because we get to hear her thoughts, is she's unhappy with herself usually. She's
not like she's super like
but she's shy,
but she's like,
or
oh,
like
dang.
And she's nervous because it's her first day on the job and all the rest of it. So it's gonna be fun to, I think, see her evolution. And will she become an actual sadist? Will she just get really good at acting it? Like, will it just be the continual gag? We'll see. But I'm excited for it. Another one, and this one I will say, I have a few that I added to my queue that I know not a whole lot about. This one I know like basically nothing. Dies Irae, which is German. The full name, Verwil doch du bist du schon, das Weig Wilbig seit
Wow, I did
uns
not know it was that
Heinan.
long.
It's got a long German subname, and I could probably interpret it after a while, or I could just Google Translate, but I'm not going to. It seems interesting. At the start of a great war, an important leader in Germany's security bureau chief takes on a mission to fight supernatural mutants himself. But it seems like a really interesting kind of take on, if I remember correctly, the idea is that Nazi Germany found magic essentially, and has decided that they're going to use it, but it's not working out super well, and so they've like opened this gate.
This happens in the current day.
Yes,
like it's like the surviving members of this sect.
Yes, so
it
seems interesting.
Watching it. I got like 2 minutes in.
Yeah, we'll see. There were a few last season that I'm like, I like seemed interesting.
This
and, like,
image we're looking at makes me want to watch it more because it looks less grandiose than those first 2 minutes. Those first 2 minutes looked like super grandiose. Ha ha ha! We're obsessed with Nazis. Anime, and I was not down for that.
Yeah, and that is something I will say. Japan. I'm gonna pause my upcoming list. I'm gonna get back to it, but I'm gonna segue really fast here. Japan, you gotta let it go. You gotta let.
Oh, but there's so much fun.
Oof. I mean, because granted, I did really like Tanya the Evil.
Yojo Senki was good, but hey, that's because it's
really,
not. But it's because it was during World War One. They're not technically Nazis
yet, although they're obviously building towards it, and it's Nazi Germany. Anyway, and even some of their other stuff that's a lot more innocent, like Konkol, has a kind of a World War II apologist undertone, and it's something that Japan has been doing a lot over the past decade, and probably, I mean, and this is just anime. Japan has been doing it since the 40s. Knock it the fuck off. I'll also ask you to, while you're at it, please knock the fuck off with 2 other small things. And I'm not going to elaborate super long on them in this episode. This is like, I could probably just do an hour-long episode by myself on these subjects. Love of God, Japan. Love you dearly. Love your anime. Manga's fun too. Please stop with the lolly. Please stop with the incest. Okay? That's all I'm going to go on for now.
Policy.
I kind
pretty
of
close.
Pretty close. There I said I liked Monogatari.
I'm a lot loose with my policy. Well, I do agree with him on some extent.
I
am not quite as strict.
I'm pretty anyway. Back to my current watch list. So Dies Irae, it looks interesting. It definitely, I'm going in there with some trepidation. So we'll see what's happening. I'll get it back to you next time. Recovery of an MMO Junkie. I know this is another one that you are also very interested in.
I am very excited. I was already sort of excited because you'll come to learn weird thing, my thing that's weird. Going online / fantasy, guys becoming girls. It's a thing. However, this one is about a girl gamer that portrays a male character online. She becomes a NEET. She either quit or was fired. It's left ambiguous. It's definitely drama that I think we're going to bring up again in the first episode. Does it say she quit?
It says quitting her job, but again, it doesn't address it very well in the anime. So that might just be how they're putting it, because the word, I think, for leaving your job can be interpreted as either being fired, let go, or quitting.
Maybe she quit under duress or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, she decides to play a cute anime guy online.
Hot.
In an MMO.
Male.
Hot. Specifically, she says.
Hot.
And she has a very hard time learning the controls. And then she meets this cute girl online that helps her. They become good friends. We fast forward. She's now considering herself an elito Nito, a NEET by choice. And she's level 80 and stuff. And so I know from the description that we're going to learn that girl is a guy in real life. Yeah. She's going to start having a relationship with that guy in real life and eventually learn, I don't know if before they got in a relationship or after, but she gets in a relationship, starts getting a relationship with the girl online as well. She doesn't quite like love them, but they're like kind of flirty-ish. She's trying to get something for the girl in the game for Christmas, But so eventually there's going to be this whole, you're a girl in real life, you're a guy in real life, and they're going to fall in love and stuff, and it's be cute. Which was enough for me to be interested. However, what got me really got me really interested into it when I started watching is the pacing and the way they do all of it. I would have expected, usually for this type of thing, by the end of the episode, they figure out you're that person, and then it's like, awkward
immediately segue into being a rom-com and kind of drop the MMO.
But no, they just like barely meet each other. We as the audience only barely meet the guy. There's slight we don't meet any of her guildmates who they are in real life. You see some of them in the ED as human people, and I assume that means that they're going to be your guildmates. But we don't know who's who, which character's which.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited because the way that they seem to be drawing this out and just watching it is very cute. It's very fun. Yep. It's very funny as well, and it seems like it's not a huge comedy, but it's got funny parts.
Well, and
it's gonna be nice.
I think the big thing is it either needs to go one of two ways. I feel it either needs to own the whole role reversal expectation thing to its fullest extent possible and just run with it. It's like, yep, this is our stupid idea and we like it.
Mm-hmm.
Or they need to be clever about it and actually include a lot of non-role reversals where it's like, actually, this person is this person because
one of the people you see in an ED
is
like looks like the kind of popular girl, like she's wearing a cute blouse and da-da-da. I think in the actual ED, you're looking at her through like someone's like door hole, so she's visiting someone in the ED. But there's also a really fat guy in the MMO, and I half expect it, and I don't want it to be true because they knew just be a constant source of not very good comedy is, haha, the cute little girl in real life is actually this fat guy. I would be upset.
Yeah. So again, if they own it and they just run with it, I can probably even accept a lot of like some things like that.
It'll be good,
but
it could have been great.
Exactly. So we'll see how it goes. And I will say as a side note, looking at this screen here, because I hadn't seen a really good screenshot of Lily or whoever. Looks a lot like Astolfo.
Ooh.
Looks a lot like Astolfo.
Ooh, she does. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I mean, that's like, that would make sense.
Anyway. Look up, for those of you who don't know who Astolfo is, we're not going to tell you.
You know what, just
him up.
No, just
look them up.
Google image search.
Astolfo.
And it's not the first image result, it's the second. Astolfo, Paladin of Charlemagne. You don't have to put it. No, you don't have to. You really don't. Oh. You know what? Here, live look here. I'm gonna do this. You're gonna hear some clicking and clacking. Astolfo, Paladin of Charlemagne. Because he was Paladin of Charlemagne, like the actual person, like the actual like hero of France or whoever gives a shit. Anyway, okay, so third image result.
Third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, I mean after the third,
among others.
After like the second, it's kind of almost only.
You'll know because it's an anime character.
Yep, as this is an anime podcast. So, recovery of an MMO junkie, though. There are a couple others that I'm going to try out, and we'll just see what happens. Urahara seems kind of interesting because it's a hyper-surrealistic, super colorful, like, over-the-top sort of thing, and I did really like some of those animes before of that style.
Flip Flappers.
Flip Flappers was one. Why is my brain...
There was one that was a really weird one where there was, like, these three girls...
Fooly Cooly. I love Fooly Cooly. That's another one that was just like, huh.
There's one that I don't think anyone else watched. I think it's got like a 6 on my anime list, but I thought it was fun. It's a short version show, like with 4-minute runtime or 2 minutes. It's like Hackoroid or something. Hackadolls. Yep. It's actually like an advertisement for an app that I wish I could use. Actually, it's like an anime-based app that like gives you search results based on what anime you like. And that seems nice and like news and stuff, but
because it's like hack idols.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a kind of a cute one, and I enjoyed it.
I got through a couple episodes and it seemed fun. I just one where I was watching a lot of random shit at the same time, and so I just didn't stick with it. But Urahara, I'm gonna try out, and then another one that this is purely gratuitous, but I do enjoy my stupid sweet kind of like gaggy love sorts of anime. Is just kind of almost like a palate cleanser, but Love is like a cocktail. She's the office lady and she's nice and everyone likes her and all the rest of it, but she likes to go home and get just toasted with her husband, and it seems fun because apparently when she gets drunk she gets really cute and stuff, and so
she apparently gets adorable.
Yeah, and
she's regularly like I guess like sort of cool, strict office lady.
Well, kind of the cool senpai, like she's been there, she's experienced, all that sort of thing, and so but it just gets like over the top cute, and kind of reminds me of another anime that I watched last season, New Game.
Oh, is a lot like New Game.
It reminds me a lot of New Game of and I'm struggling with names right now, but the senpai character of New Game it starts with a K, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, point being, it even kind of looks like her. Got the blonde look. Anyway,
kind of.
But the again, purely gratuitous. I'm not really expecting much out of it. If it's anything that's actually enjoyable, I'll be happy to report. But I'm fully expecting this to be just like a fun one that I don't even bother watching the whole thing. Not because I dislike it, but because I just don't care enough to watch it. But I'm gonna watch at least a couple, probably episodes, and we'll see what happens with it. So that's my watch list, and I know I had a bit of an overlap with you on some of those.
that encompasses most of it. Let's see what else. There's two others that I can think of that I'm watching that you did not mention. One is Konohana Kitan. I don't actually know what the English name is.
Yep.
I think it's just. Yep. I think because it's about a hotel, and the hotel is called either Konohana, or part of it's Konohana. Part of the name of the hotel is Konohana. It's about basically a hotel, like a traditional Japanese hotel run by a bunch of fox girls, basically.
That one seems very cute.
Japanese maids. It's very cute, very comfy anime. Not a lot going on in it. Very pretty, nice visuals. It's very not a whole lot going on.
Yep.
Not that it's bad, but that's like the point.
But yeah, it's again just kind of slice of life, and that's the big thing I'd like you listeners to take away is that you can like a rainbow of genres. There's nothing wrong with it. I love shonens. Again, I cut my teeth, my anime teeth, so to speak, on traditional shonen like kids and very young boys shows. And that's totally fine. My Hero Academia
coming out right now, big popular shonen.
Yeah, they've got a lot of really good stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. You can like just the slice of life stuff. New Game, actually, for New Game season 2 was the most anticipated anime out of like a survey of like a couple thousand people in Japan. Life. And that's because again, sometimes it's nice just to have something that's just there's no struggle, there's no like strife. It's just cute girls doing cute things, or just a fun little family unit, or whatever. I loved Flying Witch last year.
I was going to say, that's actually considered a different genre that I think is worth bringing up, which is called the healing genre.
Oh, yeah.
And it just makes you feel good. You take the slice of life, and you have even less happen in it.
Yep.
For American audiences, people don't like it as much. I'm gonna try not to get into a bunch now. But for American audiences, it's less people like it, but because it's specifically run for Japanese audiences, because their days are so busy, so they're doing, and so to come home and just watch something that's just pretty,
and nothing happens. Happening. Yeah, it's not even like
really
it's and that's why I like calling it slice of life, because it is truly, because frankly, life is boring. You wake up, you go to the bathroom, you grab some food, you get dressed, you go to work.
But that's what I would say would be the difference between slice of life
and sometimes there's not even work in it, and sometimes there isn't. It's just very dull. It's just they're working like, oh, hello, and they talk to their coworker.
That's also why I think that there's an important difference to be made between slice of life and these healing animes, and there's not a lot that fall into that healing genre perfectly.
Yeah,
because the slice of life still has added in bits of comedy, some other things going on, while the healing, if it does, it's still kind of like it's relaxing comedy.
Yeah, it's you're gonna at most chuckle, but usually you'll have a small smile on your face. So I can definitely dig it, and healing genre sounds good.
So the one other anime I'm watching this season that's one of my big ones, my good day is Anime Friday for me, because on that day, one of the ones we talked about, now I can't remember what it was, comes out that day. Now I don't remember what it was. It was one I really liked, though. We've already talked about it. Doesn't matter super ton. What?
Have we?
Yeah, it was one of the ones we mentioned.
I don't know.
Oh, Recover of an MMO Junkie. That's the one that comes out that day. And then one called Girls Last Trip, or World End Tour, Girls End Tour. There's a couple different translations of it. Different ways to translate the Japanese title. But basically, it kind of fits under the weird military-ish, but not quite. It's kind of comfy in that it's two girls on a military motorcycle going through an apocalyptic wasteland, very industrial, snowy, cold apocalyptic wasteland, foraging for food, supplies, but just kind of their relationship and what they're doing, and and they're not like, oh, we got to survive, blah blah blah. At least not so far, and I don't think that's what the point is. It's very much about their relationship, their little silly things that they do on a day-to-day basis, how this is their world, and how they make fun in it, and how they do da da da. But what really, I was already gonna enjoy it because it's a really adorable art style. It's like very simplified Moe Blob kind of thing, but I like that really simplified art style. And is one half in particular. So the first half is mostly about introducing you to these characters and kind of what's going on. The second half is where more things kind of start happening, but still introductory stuff. You meet one, you learn that one of them carries a gun, and the other one doesn't. She's not a very good shot, doesn't really see any need for it. There's no other people around besides them. They forage, they find this like wasteland of a bunch of destroyed war machines, a tank, a bomber, and they briefly talk about like war and why war would happen. They're like, why do you bother making war? Like, if you guys had been making food instead, our life would be a lot easier for us now, wouldn't it? Kind of funny comment. But then they kind of come up with like, well, maybe like idle chat, like, oh, well, I guess if there was say 3 people and only enough food for 2, that's when war would happen. So they kind of have that, and then they find a crate full of rations, which is these chocolate covered or chocolate flavored bars. And then the part that really comes, that like sums all the stuff they talked about so far, but I think also really helps define who these characters are, is then they're eating, they've opened the ration bars, it comes in bars, there's 5 per bar, so they're splitting them. There's the last one girl, Chi, the one without the gun, with brown hair, usually more muted, and then there's you, more outgoing. Chi decides, oh, we'll just have to split it. Instead, you quickly grabs it from her and points a gun at her. These two that you're like, these two are friends, they're together, and now you're like, holy shit, she's gonna kill her over a chocolate bar. And it is played 100% serious. She does not move. You is serious about this, and then she eats the bar, and then she's like, the Japanese phrase is like, more like geez, and she kind of tackles her and kind of starts throwing snow on her face, and then they play it off like this kid's fight. And I think that is very well done character making, because what you have just made is you have shown that they're in a world where they have been forced to grow up fast. They are used to guns. They're used to handling guns. They understand that if a gun is pointed at you, you don't do anything. You take that threat seriously. Food is worth that. But the other thing is they're still very immature. Like a kid on the playground, say there's one piece of candy left, and so I want that candy, and so as a child you're like, I want that candy, so I'll have to do anything in my power to get that candy, which would be, I don't know, licking it or running off with it and shoving it in your face. Well, for you, the available resources include gun, so anything you can do means pointing gun. But at the same time, they don't understand like the seriousness of, like, say if I pointed a gun at Austin, that would have serious long-term repercussions.
Seriously, because I go,
just like that.
Wrap my mouth right around the barrel.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, oops.
That's
not something you do. That ruins trusts.
Exactly.
But to them, it means nothing.
Yep.
Because they don't, partially because they're so used to it, and also not used to it, obviously, but like they're mature enough to understand a gun being pointed at, but at the same time don't understand how the seriousness of that. And I think that that's very, very interesting. And now a show that I was already like, this seems pretty good, I'm now like, oh geez, I want to know more. I want to see what they do with this. This seems like it's going to be good. There's been a couple shows this season that's what this season kind of has been for me. It's like, oh, that seems like something interesting that I'll watch because it has this thing that I like, and then I'm like, wow,
right,
they did that.
And that's something I love when things like that end up happening, because I'll be honest, like there were a few in this last season, and again, because I've got such eclectic, wide-ranging tastes but high standards, there were a few that I just had to immediately drop, that I was just like, I wanted to like this. This seems like an interesting premise. When I watched the previews, or the PVs as they're called, it's short for preview. It takes the same amount of time. Anyway, it's just like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to watch this. And they were apparently pretty well liked, I guess. But this last season there was 18F and Chronos Ruler, and both of those were ones where, from what I understand, 18F was one that they had a different director direct each episode, and so there was a lot of like animation differences and all that. I don't know because I only got to the first episode, and then Chronos Ruler, I wasn't even able to get to the first episode. That hasn't happened to me for a long time in anime. The last time was Kimono Friends, which again was very well liked, but just
amazing,
viscerally painful for me to watch. We can't engage with with the characters. I can't pay attention to what's happening in the plot. I couldn't tell you who anyone is. It was just visibly painful for me to get
because
through.
Of the animation specifically.
The animation was just so bizarre. In Kimono Friends particularly. Chronos Ruler has that really bizarre like over-reliance on CGI with a few hand-drawn stuff, and then they put the hand-drawn stuff on top of CGI models, and it's just like, why? And again, maybe Chronos Ruler actually like pans out. It's like it has a rocky first couple episodes or whatever. Some people are like, oh, it's the 3-episode rule. No, I don't got that kind of time on my hands. If you can't get me, I mean, maybe if once the season's done, I get enough recommendation from people who I trust on their opinions, like Madoka. I've been meaning to watch Madoka, and I know everyone who's a fan of Madoka says the same thing. Get to episode 3, and you will be hooked. Because lo and behold, I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I just couldn't bring myself to care enough to start episode 3.
For me, the 3-episode rule is not it has a very set things that the rule applies to. One is shows where people say, watch the first 3 episodes, which happens frequently for some reason. Yeah. Those obviously have the 3-episode rule in it because someone's telling me to watch 3 episodes.
And again, I can kind of understand it because you have the first episode is dedicated usually to exposition. You're setting up the world, you're introducing the characters. There's basically no plot movement happening whatsoever. The second episode is dedicated to plot impetus, and then the third episode is when it actually starts moving. And so I get the reason.
But with the but that's what I'm getting at is that at the same time when I'm watching it by myself without any recommendations, this thing that's airing, if it's something within the first episode, I'm like, oh, I'm actually not interested in this, I'm going to drop it. The 3-episode rule by myself really only applies if I've gotten I liked episode 1 enough to watch through it, watched episode 2, and then partway through episode 2 decide I'm not liking it. That's maybe when the 3-episode rule applies. Yeah. If I liked episode 1 to some extent, I'm still kind of liking it, but episode 2 I'm like, I'm not sure. Yeah. And then I'm thinking about dropping at episode 2, that's when I'll say, watch the 3rd episode, then decide. But for the most part, it's kind of like, if I'm not really enjoying it episode 1, I'm not going to watch anymore. If I enjoyed episode 1 and then episode 2 is awful, and I have there's nothing still in there that I like, I'll usually drop it. The 3-episode rule I feel applies to an anime I'm going into that's already been finished, that someone has said, get 3 episodes in, and things that I'm watching on my own that I have doubts by episode 2. But I think it's perfectly acceptable to drop it during episode 2, depending on how it is.
Yeah, and that's again one of the things I'd like everyone to take away, because like I said, there's a rainbow of genres, and it's okay to like any one of them. Like there are some that I'm not gonna like, and I'm gonna look at it and be like, yeah, no, this does nothing for me. But at the same time, there's a lot that I do like. I like horror, I like slice of life, I like rom-com, I like shonen. Hell, I've enjoyed a few shoujos in my time. I actually have very fond memories of, again, just like random episodes because I didn't have access to a lot of TV as a kid. But I remember watching a few episodes of Card Captor Sakura and I mentioned earlier, Sailor Moon. I love those. I hold them in high regard. Yeah.
Those are like just 2 favorite shows.
Yeah.
Well, growing up. He watched those a lot.
Growing up. And that's 100% understandable. Frankly, they're putting out a new like deck of Cloud Captor cards.
Oh yeah.
I kind of want it. I don't care if it's pink and gold.
I have thought about watching Card Captor Sakura, but the list of episodes being at 900 kind of holds me
back. Because they keep like doing like remakes and like weird things with it, and I'm just like, I can't. Like at this point, I wouldn't even know where it's being on that one, because I just have a few that I remember seeing like the first couple with a friend at like a sleepover or something like that. It was never one that I had personal access to, and same thing with Sailor Moon. And I know more Sailor Moon as I've gotten older. I know Sailor Moon enough to know that I am Sailor Pluto.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In every...
I don't know who Sailor Pluto is.
She's from some of the later seasons, because she's an outer. She's the Sailor Guardian of Time. So she can't normally interact with other people because it's not allowed. But, of course, in traditional anime fashion, rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
Also, she's the only sailor who dies.
Spoiler
alert!
So that just ruined it all, didn't it? Now you
Well,
can't watch Sailor Moon.
Oh,
the classic anime. You can't watch it. We've ruined it.
Yep, because it has nothing to do with the main
Soiled
plot.
it.
Also,
according to Nick,
Uh-huh.
I mentioned Nick. You guys might hear about Nick more. Maybe we'll have him on here sometime.
Yeah, I think he's welcome.
He's big on Sailor Moon. He grew up with that. That would be.
Oh, yeah.
When we were talking about our street cred, that would be his street cred.
Oh yeah,
I guess would be Sailor Moon. He has all of our friends as Sailor Moon characters in his phone.
Yep.
I don't know what he has you for.
I'm Sailor Pluto.
Is he? Are you actually Pluto?
I am Sailor Pluto.
There
Specifically,
you go.
though, my icon is Sailor Pluto with Kratos' face superimposed on hers.
Perfect.
Because
You look a bit like Kratos.
yeah, I'm pasty, white, bald, and have a big red beard. So
So if you ever want to know what he looks like, it looks like Kratos and superimposed on Sailor
Pluto. But unfortunately, without the large amounts of talent.
No, I gotta be Chibiusa.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oof.
Rude.
Oof, that's rough.
I'm
Chibiusa.
cute and adorable, and also not part of the friend group.
Not part of
apparently.
not part of the friend group.
I wasn't for a while. I was very inactive.
Well, again, I think I texted something in the chat group today, and I think
Wow.
it was the first time that I've texted in almost like a month.
It was
I don't participate very much. I'm very bad at it.
anyway.
We're getting
Off
sidetracked.
topic.
Anime, though, again, it's fine to like what you like. There's no rules to anime, and people
That's kind of the point
are
of
like, oh, I
anime
want to
almost.
get into anime. It's like, okay, well then, just what things do you like? Just in
And
general.
then
There's nothing
Pick two things that you
wrong
like,
with that.
and then
You could honestly
specifically
put
pick
it
two
into
things
Google.
that don't go together that you like.
There's probably an anime out there.
There's an anime for it.
There's 90%. I can almost promise you that if you go to like Google search, or even better, if you go to like My Anime List,
Yeah,
because you
My
can
Anime
search
List.
them as tags.
Oh really?
I
That
believe
makes
you
it
can.
nice. I'm
pretty sure you can.
into that.
I'll be honest. I'm garbage at using My Anime List, but I do tend to click on it because I'll Google search blah blah anime, and
it'll click
first
on
thing
My
will
Anime
be
List. Yeah,
My
yeah.
Anime List. But they have oddly specific tags.
That's what I think is great about anime is it lets you tell stories that I don't feel would not exist in any other
Medium.
form of medium because it's just stuff that people wouldn't do. And then two, it could not exist the same way that it does in anime. It can you can make a story that's completely absurd premise. You can, for instance, you can be like, hey, let's put a bunch of squirrel girls in tanks, World War II tanks, shoot them at each other, but still have no one die, and have that be an anime. And then also, what if that actually made you feel legitimately like feelings for these characters and do it well enough that you actually cared about them?
Mm-hmm.
How? I don't know. It's amazing.
Nice.
So
I guess with that, we're running a little long on this one. We're gonna try to keep these guys to about an hour or so. Might be a little under, might be a little over. There's no real set to it. Again, this is the first episode.
The intro, so
yeah, this is the
a
intro.
lot more info we had to get in on this.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the exposition episode. Next episode will be me probably screaming about random things.
Well, I mean, that's
Probably Brayden interjecting with a
This-
few very good, well thought out points and opinions. Me
wow.
counterpointing
You are
with
giving me some
even better,
credit.
more screaming.
Okay, well,
more articulate screaming on why my
articulate
opinions are
screaming
actually
opinions.
correct. And you are wrong and awful and stupid. And
I don't
probably
think you've ever actually told me I'm wrong or awful or stupid.
Maybe
Maybe that's just because
can you not read between the lines?
Maybe that's my fault.
Yeah, I'll try to be more blunt. But remember, guys, we are Ebi to Kani,
There we go.
an anime podcast. You can find us wherever anime podcasts are sold.
Wherever we figure out where those are sold.
Yeah, seriously. I'm probably going to put this up on my owned little website, Geeks with Beards, as I have a beard.
Are we affiliates?
I mean, I'm an affiliate by virtue of being co-founder.
I mean, you own it.
Yeah, so there's that.
I once put an article on there.
You did once put an article on there. You can do that more if you want.
I also put some images on there.
You did. You took pictures for us. That was very good. I want to get that thing active again because I have not posted on that for literally over a year now.
Yeah.
Because I got in my accident last year and stuff happened. Anyway, life goes on.
Spooky things. You don't know how many legs he has anymore.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. If this is on a medium or platform where you can leave a like or comment or subscribe, feel free to do
Please
so.
do. We'd appreciate it.
I'll probably add somewhere in descriptions or something tags. You can reach out to me on Twitter or whatever. I am always full of opinions. If you have any opinions that you'd like to share,
or that you'd like to share with me, do it through him. I'm not active on social media. I apologize.
I only have one social media, though, to be fair.
Maybe I will become active on social media. Your guys' request.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe.
Anyway.
So this has been Ebby Tokani. I am your Ebby. He is your Kani. Please tune in next time for some more crustacean madness, I guess. Is that what we'll call that?
What?
Crustacean madness.
No. Why the fuck would we call it? What the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus